We still talk football here each and every day at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, and it's time to talk Miami football. And if the number 52 clicks in at all, there are 52 weeks in a year, and this is our 52nd edition of Miami Hurricanes Live. So with the help of Cam Underwood and the Wholesome One, how you doing today, sir?
Holding on, man. Holding on. Washing our
Holding
hands.
on.
Trying to stay in positive energies and making sure we bring great quality content. That's what we're doing today.
That's it. So for 52 straight weeks, that is one full year. We have been here each and every week with either Cam Underwood, and the Wholesome One is filled in admirably and capably representing the U, talking Miami football, regardless of the circumstances. And we all know what the deal is, so there's no reason to belabor what's going on out there. Right. It is mid to late March, and we hope to have football in. And I fired up the clock this week, the countdown clock, just to give us some hope here and some perspective on this, Wholesome One. So we are 162 days away from the first scheduled college football game for 2020.
And we'll get there. We'll get there. Let's put that in the atmosphere. We're going to get it. We're going to get over this. We're going to get over the hump.
So for folks in the live chat, please leave your comments and questions. We'll be talking Miami football for the next hour and answering your comments and questions. Share the video out there on social media. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Going to hit you with this one. This comment came from KD Dog 88 3 days ago. We talked about Romeo Finley's tackling and defensive performance, in particular, the positives and the negatives last week, but for the entire defense. And I want people out there that have watched football to understand when you're evaluating tackling, let's understand that it's not the easiest thing to do, especially in open space, in an open field against a very talented player. And I could speak to it at a minimal level in a high school. The Wholesome One could speak to it at a much higher level in regards to, and then when we're talking Miami playing in the ACC at the highest level of collegiate football, very talented, skilled guys that can put their foot in the dirt, change direction, have all the space in the world, that it's difficult to bring a guy to the ground based on power and speed. So let's understand what it is, that there are going to be tackles missed or broken at some point.
Oh, yeah.
It's like dropped passes. There should, in a sense, never be a dropped pass that's not defended by a defender. But there's going to be a few. There shouldn't be many at all. And this, you got a little bit more grace to give when it comes to broken tackles, because the guy on the other, you're not just catching a football like you would in the backyard. You know, there's a dude on the other side that has something to say about whether he's going to get by you or not, whether, again, that's power, speed, elusiveness, whatever he has to do to get by you. It's a tough thing to do. But that said, there should be a standard for wrapping up tackles, making the tackles, and other guys getting over there to help before the guy can get away. So in assessing this team's defensive performance, just in regards to bringing guys to the ground, your thoughts on the 2020 performance?
Man, the 2019-2020 Miami Hurricanes probably be one of the worst tackling teams in college football. I mean, you sit back and you watch film, there were a stint to where you were hoping 2 or 3 guys got there because the first guy wasn't bringing them down. The best graded tackler on our team was cornerback Al Blades Jr. Let me say that again. A corner was the highest grade. And this is Pro Football Focus. This isn't my plus minus percentile. This is Pro Football Focus. Graded him as the best tackler on our team. I mean, excluding the great Gregory Rousseau, with a flash in the pan season in which that he put together. So we hope that continues to grow and what he could bring to the table. But what you were talking about as far as this being one of the hardest things to do, I mean, you think about the athleticism and the size. I mean, if you go back and look at some of the now wide receivers and tight ends, they were guards and tackles back in the 80s and 90s. These guys, 6'5", 6'6", they didn't play at skill position wide receiver. Some played some DN, but if you look at the historic great DNs, they average about that 6'3", 6'4". You got guys like Chase Young. You got guys like Gregory Rousseau who are 6'5" plus, coming off the edge, running after guys who are about 5'11" through 6'1" that run just as fast, if not faster. And you got to try to bring them down because they're short and quick and nifty. So it's not the easiest thing to do. And I believe that it also comes with our fandom. When we go to watch our team, we always think that we're not the best at it. But if you take some time and watch other college football teams or even some pro football teams, you see that there's drop passes at other schools. There's missed tackles at other organizations if you talk about in the NFL level. But when you're talking about your team, the team that you love, it's 9 times out of 10 never good enough. You're always like, no, we should be better. We should be great. And we have to be top 5. I mean, especially us as Hurricane fans, when you talk about what Cam Underwood said, a microwave history. You know, when it's hot and ready, it's great. You let it sit for too long, it's not the best program nationally. So hopefully the microwave is warming up again here because it's been a while for our Miami Hurricanes. But you go back and you watch the senior leadership at the linebacker position, poor tackling. Trajan Bandy as the most experienced defensive back, poor tackling. Defensive line was actually very well at tackling. Jordan Miller, John Ford, Nesta Silvera, Gregory Rousseau, Scott Patchen when he was a part of the team, John Garvin. Those guys actually had, according to Pro Football Focus, some of the better tackling percentages on our defense. But excluding the defensive line, the only other good tackler on our team was a second-year player, corner, Al Blaze Jr. So we got some work to do. And I truly think it comes in the form of not being able to tackle actual bodies as much. And I hate to sound like the old guy in the chair saying back in my day, because I'm only 23, but, you know, you watch the videos of these guys tackling donut holes and rolling with that, and then you don't see it equating to good tackling on the field. But the rules have played a part in a lot of that as far as the contact days and how much actual physical hitting can be going on in practice. And instead of wasting time in Oklahoma drills or hitting drills, as we used to say, Coach Manny Diaz prefers to use that time tackling, full contact tackling in 11 on 11. And when you watch any highlight tapes or you read up on anything, the offense has been and was destroying the defense in any actual 11 on 11 tackling when we were practicing. So hopefully we get that thing fixed.
So what is your thought about the practice of tackling and how much you need to tackle? And again, there's been limitations put on live game type action in practice and in scrimmages, and limitations put on all levels of football, and how much there's speculation from the old timers, again, mostly that that hurts in regards to being a good sound tackling team.
It works also with offensive and defensive line, actually, you know, putting out some great tackles or great offensive linemen, because the contact of actually having to run into another man with full pads on and have to use your technique and your hand placement to keep him away. You haven't seen that as far as defensive linemen being able to defeat cut blocks. You're seeing that be a lot more effective now than it was before, because we don't spend a lot of time in full pad practices. My viewpoint on it is I understand the injury and I understand player well-being, because health is number one, regardless. You know, you could be the strongest guy in the world, you could be the smartest IQ, but if you can't physically go out there and do it because you're hurt or your body's beat down, then I can understand that from a certain perspective. But I think we should slightly increase it. I don't know the exact amount of time, but I know that we have to have it like stopwatched to verify how much time we spent hitting and make sure we're monitoring that, because you can have NCAA violations with that. So I know that's something that they're doing in Miami. So hopefully we can work on it. I mean, another thing that I've seen, injury protecting tackling with the alligator roll tackling and going after ankles and knees has something that Manny Diaz really likes. And he's been implementing that on his team and it has not been working here at Miami. Over the last 2 years, we've been pretty struggling at tackling.
Follow me on Twitter at Mark Rogers TV. What you're not going to get is me trolling and diving into a lot of arguments on Twitter. Basically, my Twitter is a platform to present the content, but I will discuss college football with folks on Twitter and have been reeled into a few conversations and debates and so forth on Twitter from time to time. So it's not that I won't mix it up, but certainly that's not been the case on a regular basis. But I would ask that if you support the channel, you love what we do here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, in covering college football across the nation, then please follow me on Twitter, Mark Rogers TV, because we also, as an added incentive there, if you like to take part in polls, we are going to be providing polls on a regular basis there. I'm not going to claim to release one each and every day. I don't want to hold myself to that, but most days we're going to be releasing polls, and we've done 3 recently involving who's DBU, the Florida State hiring of Mike Norvell, and one wholesome one involving Manny Diaz. So I ran this poll on Twitter and also on our community page here at YouTube, and I simply stated it this way. Miami fans, are you happy that Manny Diaz is your head coach? And we received 417 votes. And 55% of the folks out there that are Miami fans, we've got to assume that Miami fans responded. Of course, there could be trolls. They could respond with anything they want. But 55% of the respondents said yes, but 45% said no. 7, I got to expect that shouldn't be a big shock to anybody.
I mean, I was hoping you weren't putting me on the spot, but with that look, I knew you were putting me on the spot. I wish the absolute best for Coach Manny Diaz. I mean, there's the viewpoint on things that it is his first job as a head coach, period. I mean, not even high school, not even, Pop Warner, nothing. No experience ever as it being his entire show. And we don't look at Miami as a place where you come and grit your teeth and learn timeouts and learn when to, halt the production of somebody driving down the field on you. And it's the first half, so you need a couple timeouts to cool the team down. No, we don't look at Miami as that team to do that. A lot of people thought that he was going to take the Temple job and then come back as an established head coach 3 or 4 years down the line in the mid-2020s if we weren't working out with whatever new head coach it was. And then he would come back and do his thing, man. But at the same time, like Dante says on my channel, that was last decade. Hopefully Coach Manny Diaz and he has shown progression at any time he's touched that U. I mean, when he was a defensive coordinator here, he progressed every single year. Every single year he looked at something about that defense and switched it around. In 2016, we had just switched over to the 4-3. So it was the first year of data. He spent 2017 focusing on turnovers. We didn't get to the QB and we didn't create turnovers. A lot of turnover chain. A lot second team in the country. I mean, we were booming, baby. We were up there. Then 2018, he came back and said, the biggest thing I don't like about our defense is the rush defense. I don't like how we were getting gashed and we gave up these big plays. Then you look at, we got up to number 3 in total defense in the country at one time in 2018. So he's willing to look within and see what's going on with us. Well, even though he switched to gas, he wanted to do 3rd down 4-2-5. And slowly switched to that being our base. Now you look at us as a base 4-2-5 defense. Some like it, some don't. But it is the movement of college football now is to have more athletes on the field in a 4-2-5. You need at least 6 to 7 guys that are quality cover guys in today's college football. And not just at the defensive back position, especially at linebacker, with only having 2 on the field in a 4-2-5. So either way, Manny Diaz has shown progression. And the biggest thing that we can do as Miami Hurricanes fans, because we can't control what happens on that field, what we can control is our attitude towards things. If we could push some more positive energy to them and say, hey, yeah, we don't like the mediocrity. Yeah, we don't like not being where we believe we should be as a top 10 program year in and year out. Us going on Twitter and cursing them out or going on Facebook and putting all that negative energy out there isn't going to change anything. What we can do is say he's growing. Okay, what we can do is say he's trying his hardest. He's given his best. He's done some hiring. He's looked within himself and made some changes. He's made some really good hires, not only as coaches, but as recruiting coordinators and assistant coaches and quality control coaches. So he sees what's wrong too. He wants to get better also. No one puts pen to paper with their name and say, you know what? I'm going to suck at this school. No one wants to do that. So Coach Manny Diaz is doing the best that he can, and he's showing us that he sees the holes in the program, and he wants to fill them and get better.
In regards to the recruiting class for 2020, I pointed out a few weeks ago in my conversation with you, I also said it with Cam, this is a distinction you only want one time, but it's good to hear one time, if taken in the right context, that Miami had the best recruiting class of anybody in the country that had a losing record last year. Now, you don't want to do that again. You just want to do that once, but they did. And to that point, we got Ballard Sports Media on the line who's asking, I know it's early, so again, they're going to sign the kids in December mostly and some in February next year. How high in the rankings do you see Miami getting in 2021 recruiting? I've read some news that they will do really well.
I agree. I believe we'll be similar to that 2018 recruiting class, to where we got up to number 8 in the country. I think we'll miss on a couple of those big name guys. Reason being, you have to continuously update that resume. And another flash in the pan, 10-win season, 10-win season, somewhere in there is going to help, but maybe not those solidified 5 stars where Georgia and LSU and Bama are knocking at the door. It'll be a little harder to bring those guys in. But those borderline 5 stars, those high 4 stars who always want to pick Miami, you go out there, you show something really good on offense, you get a little better on defense. They can foresee themselves playing early in your system, coming in and being an early and working hard in your system and earning playing time. Those young men tend to put pen to paper if you go out and give them a reason to. And a reason to would be a 9 to 10-win season and winning your bowl game. I look at 2020 as a mix of 2016 and 2017. As far as we're not there just yet, Mark, but we're getting over the hump, and people can see that Miami's putting together the building blocks in the fall. Because if you look at Miami over the last 2 years, springtime, oh, okay, they're doing pretty well. I like this. I like that. I like that transfer. I like that hire. But when it came to fall, when they were taking down notes and keeping the stats, it wasn't the same amount of energy put towards it. And you were like, what's going on at Miami? You know, what happened to Transfer Portal U? What happened to hashtag TNM? What happened to the new Miami? You know, it kind of fell off the hinges there. So I look at us as, I mean, Marshall, one of the better corners down there at Palmetto, and shout out to Palmetto. They have, I don't know who's handling recruiting or whatever down there, hint, hint, but they are doing great. I mean, they have 2 borderline 5-star corners. Their defensive line from left end to right end is all 4-star recruits. Savion, the defensive tackle there that plays for Palmetto, is committed to Miami also. I think we'll get one of the corners, not both. And I think that we'll hold on to Savion if we can continue to build a relationship with current defensive line coach and keeping a relationship with him, because he was recruited by 3 different Miami Hurricanes defensive line coaches in 3 years. That's not the best thing. Right now we have Todd Stroud. Before him, we had Phillips. Stephen Phillips. He's with the Falcons right now. And before him, you had Coach Kulagowski. And all 3 of them have been in conversations with Savion at some point. So his biggest issue is, who am I going to play for? I've been recruited by 3 different guys. So if we can solidify defensive line coach, I think we can hold on to him. But like I said, top 10, top 8, somewhere in there. I'm not going to fly off the handle and say, number 1, top 3. No, we're not there just yet. And some recruits aren't going to like the recent history of Miami. So they're not going to trust their future to a flash in a pan season, which you can respect that decision.
He's the Wholesome One. Please check him out on his YouTube channel, Wholesome One Holloway. Again, it's the Wholesome One, HOLSUM, HOLSUM. I'll get his banner up here in just a second. Again, just check him out on YouTube. You will love what you see and hear concerning Miami football content. Speaking of the 2021 class, with 10 hard commits right now, the 247 composite has Miami ranked 6th in the country, number 3 in the ACC, and that's coming off a year again. Best recruiting class of a team that was coming off a losing season, number 13 in the country, according to the 247 composite. New King God, thanks for the contribution on the super chat. We appreciate it. And we'll post that on the screen. Keep it right there. Tom Brady is officially the second best quarterback in Florida, next to your man,
De'Aaron King, huh? Hey, if he can prove that, that means at the end of the year, Miami's doing what LSU did. And if he can turn around Miami from 6-7 to 16-0 national champions, the whole country will get up and go, you know what? Whether we like or hate Miami, that is one heck of a turnaround. So, hey, he has to go out there and prove it, just like us as analysis. We have to continuously update, man. I can't leave a good YouTube video up there for 15 years and expect people to they'll still think I'm good. No, I got to keep updating that resume and keep proving, that I bring quality content every time I get on the camera. It's like the Canes. We got to prove that we are the U every time we put that U on and go out on the field.
Wholesome One, of course, you're familiar with Jabril Cox, linebacker Jabril Cox out of North Dakota State. How good is he?
Personal good friend of mine. Brillo is one of the better people I've ever met. Just a genuine, hardworking young man. And we were blessed to have him here at North Dakota State for the 3 years. I mean, a 3-year starter. Came in as a freshman and took a redshirt senior start, who is in the NFL right now playing for the Baltimore Ravens. Came in at 17 years old and took his position and forced him to play special teams. So that should just tell you how much of an athlete and how good Jabril Cox is. And, we run a 4-2-5 here at North Dakota State. And he was basically our striker or our star, our buck linebacker, however you would say it. And he would go all over. I mean, if we were playing a good tight end, he would spend a lot of time at linebacker. If we were playing a good slot wide receiver, he would play our star linebacker. If we were playing a good running back, he would come in and play the middle linebacker. Anywhere we needed him to be the eraser of the other team's best player offensively, that's where Brillo was. And I do not know where he's going to sign. I feel as though that's something for him. But I do know that he went on a visit to LSU, and things might have went well. So hopefully Miami would give him a call. I know he would love to play in the SEC, but, that's probably most I speak on it. That's just out of respect for him and his decision. That's just not – but he's really good. He's really, really good. And it's not just because it's personal for me, but you see a guy who had all the preseason accolades in the FCS, show up to work every day, a silent leader, led by example, and just went out there and played, as hard as he could took coaching. When we go in for film, he just sits there and listens. Yes, coach. No, coach. First guy in, last guy out. A guy that if you were a regular student and you went up and just said hello and wanted a picture or shook his hand, or he would sit there and have a 30-minute conversation with you if you let him. He was just an amazingly humble spirit that truly wanted to come here and be the best that he could, man. And that's what he did. And moving on to wherever he does decide to go, wish him nothing but the best. If he wore that U, it would be super exciting. But I have a feeling he may go somewhere else.
I'm going to preface the next comment that's posted to the screen from Ballard Sports Media by reminding everyone that Alabama, the last 2 football seasons, has played an ACC team in the Chick-fil-A kickoff game and an ACC team that is similar right now. I'm not going to say in terms of talent, but in terms of results on the field, Louisville coming off a 7-5 season, Duke coming off a 5-7 season, Duke coming off bowl seasons before that. So 5-7 was a downer for Duke. And Alabama, obviously, they annihilated and embarrassed those two teams. I'm not saying that they're going to do that to Miami, but let's not be too hyped for that game. And let's also consider we've got hopefully, we've got a entire football season in 2020, then an entire off season to prepare and talk about Alabama taking on Miami in 2021. But Ballard Sports Media is looking forward to that game. And I don't know, Wholesome One, if you have any thoughts about the game. I'm going to tell people that ask me about games that are going to be played in 2021. I have no thoughts about the game. Zero. They could be completely different football teams, and what we think about them,
Zero, zilch.
Like 18, 19 months from now.
It's a game that I'm excited to be on the same field with them. I mean, when you look at it on a grander scale, the University of Miami will now, all the talk, all of the hype, will have an opportunity to swing at a king. And you better not miss when you do it, because it's going to turn out bad if you miss. And if you don't come showing out, if you don't come prepared. I mean, you watched the Duke game. They were quality coached, ready to show up, ready to fight. Alabama pulled away right before halftime.
Yep.
Miami on those stages had not been doing that. We get Clemson, and before you know it, we were down 28-0. You get a quality team on the same field with the old Miami Hurricanes over the last decade and a half, and we didn't look like we belonged.
Yeah, LSU,
both times. I mean, 2005 and 2018. I mean, we just didn't look like we belonged. Do I think the new coaches at Miami will stop something like that from happening? Yeah, my unhumble opinion. But you got to go out there and do it, especially against a proven opponent like Alabama that's going to have talent and that's going to be extremely well coached every single game. I mean, even from the stances of the defensive linemen, they know what move you're going to work. That's just how the SEC coaching is, and that's just how Nick Saban, his view on details are. You must know the details of the game. Could Miami turn around and pull off an upset? I would hope so.
I don't know if that upset's going to be 45-7, as predicted there by New King God. 45-7, Miami.
No, I disagree. I don't know if we're to that level yet. I know for a fact that we're going to be prepared to play in that game. And when we line up, we get to prove whether we're ready and whether the U is back, or are we just going to have to lick our wounds for a couple weeks? That's how I look at it.
Alabama-Miami meet for the first time in 2021 since the 92 national championship game. Yes, at the Sugar Bowl. All right, leave your comments and questions in the live chat. Man, we didn't get a spring season. Did not get a spring season for football. I was asked last night, did a call-in show. Somebody asked me, how's this going to affect the season? Well, on one hand, you've got a situation where everybody's in the same boat. So nobody can complain to say they got this, we didn't get this. Everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's going to have the same time to prep for the 2020 season, and we hope no interruption to the 2020 season. But you got to look at every specific team in regards to what do they have in place. Do they have a veteran roster? If they have more of a veteran roster, then they're better prepared because the guys have more experience. Is it a coaching staff where they've got coaching stability, where the coaching staff has been in place for a long time and everybody knows the culture and the structure and the process and the terminology, and they're comfortable and confident with their position coaches and are on the same page and have those relationships built? Or is it a Florida State type situation? New head coach, mostly new coaching staff. They're going to have to really ramp it up, and other teams across the country like that. So to me, that would be the one distinction. So from a player perspective, you've got to be processing this in regards to each team's challenge being a little bit different in regards to how much they're entrenched in the culture and the process and the coaching staff that's been in place, or are they dealing with a whole new set of characters?
Oh, yeah.
How much that's going to be into it.
It's tough because you look at certain programs, a lot of them we felt like were kind of starting to turn things around. One of the programs that I've always kept an eye on because of the history between us and them is Penn State. I mean, Penn State kind of has that up and down, but they were kind of coming together there a little bit at one point, and I don't know if they're going to fill out. I mean, you look at prominent school like a USC, are they going to be able to finally pull things together to where spring ball 2020 was so big for a lot of teams? You look at Texas, a team that was on the cusp and played some pretty tough games. But, I mean, you always have your blue bloods where you feel like, they'll be all right. You know, you got Alabama, you got Ohio State, got a Clemson, got a Oklahoma, got a Georgia. Yeah, they'll be fine. But teams like Miami, teams like the school in Tallahassee, to me, even like the team in Gainesville, the Florida Gators, I think they needed this spring ball to solidify some things too if they want to take that elite step that Dan Mullen always talks about. I think we all needed it to try to bridge the gap between us and the top 4 or 5 teams that are on the other side of this bridge, far ahead of the rest of the pack. You know, we're the field. Miami used to be the elite, but we're the field. And every practice, especially because it was, you know, you live together as a team. You built that camaraderie, you know, throwing the ball in full pads with the QB, a brand new QB here in Miami, who's not even, you know, a brand new system. The up tempo and the speed of that system and running in and out of drills and understanding the verbiage that you want. How does it feel to run around with that helmet on and the pads on and, you know, get up to the line and get set, know the snap count, then run back to the sideline. And then when it's your turn for whether you're first or second stream, to run back on the field, get set, run you out as hard as you can, catch the ball, run to the end zone, run to the sideline. It's something that you can't just go over in your head. And it's something you can't just walk through in T-shirt and shorts. It's something that you need to be doing in full pads over and over and over and over and over again, getting that muscle memory and getting a rhythm with the other 10 players on the football field with you on either side of the ball. And unfortunately, we're missing that right now. But hopefully, like I said before on the live last week, this is when the leadership has to step. The cream is rising to the top. What are the things that they can do? I know a lot of gyms have shut down. I think campus at Miami is shut down, so I don't know if they can go to the indoor practice facility. But if they could find somewhere, if it's the local park, and I don't care if everyone's out there watching and videoing, can we get the players to come together and go out to the park and work together and train and get some rhythm as far as, okay, what do you do on this and what's this formation and all those type of things. And I think we're going to be affected with maybe not a clean, fluent season in coming in September, as far as a lot of people missing, not having spring ball, but I believe we still will have our football season.
I'm definitely missing spring ball. I miss the spring games from the standpoint of if they're not broadcast like football games, because they shouldn't be broadcast like football games. In recent years, I think the networks have caught on to this, and they're broadcasting it like a show, like a presentation of what the team looks like. So they got interviews bouncing back and forth with coaches and players, assistant coaches. They're highlighting specific players that are battling for a position. Some of the networks have done a nice job in the switch flipping to, we're not broadcasting a game here. We should be broadcasting it like it doesn't matter that it's 3rd and 6, except to see the situation and how somebody's going to respond here. So the situation in terms of the game result doesn't matter, but they've done a nice job, I think. And I've started to get a lot more out of the spring games recently because of that, and learning, okay, I'm watching the Michigan State spring game. I'm going to take a lot from that in terms of personnel, who are some of the key guys that are emerging, those sorts of things. And we're just not going to get that. Plus those day-to-day updates of, again, the football's not scintillating, and we don't have access to the football watching, but the news, getting those flashes of, oh man, this guy's standing out in camp, or this is a position battle, or where did this guy come from? I'm going to miss that, and I do miss it right now. So for you, Wholesome One, in regards to those guys that you are really looking forward to hearing about in spring camp, maybe some of those young guys that you were waiting to see emerge or break through? Who are you really missing getting an update on?
Man, I miss hearing about Xavier Restrepo and how hardworking he has been. The shifty wide receiver that can play the X, the Z, and the F, our slot. Someone who has come in and stood out. Coach Manny Diaz has spoken about. Coach Dave Feely, our strength and conditioning, has spoken about. Even our defensive coordinator, Blake Baker, has spoken about having to go against this young man. Like, we walk in the practice facility. We got practice, at 9 a.m. This guy's in there running routes with De'Aaron King at 5:50. As a freshman, an early enrollee freshman, this is the stuff. And it's not just him. Of course, there's groups of people. If you only see De'Aaron King and Xavier Restrepo, that should be a problem. But, you see groups of them, but they just talk about how this kid is a grinder. And, it's not the fastest, he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, but he gives the effort. And to just hear someone who, I give a lot of respect to, other YouTubers and Junior and the Big Dog on their channel. Shout out to them. They were the ones, especially Big Dog, shooting and rooting hard for Xavier Restrepo to get the offer. And then when he did, we all were just elated for him because we knew how much he really worked for it on Twitter. And he would upload a workout video and at the end just throw up to you like, this is where I want to go. And you see a kid that had been doing that for months get the offer, especially because he had a lot of Ivy League because of how good of his GPA he was. He had Dartmouth, he had Yale, he had Harvard, he had, Ivy League football scholarships. And then Miami came around. So, you won't ever have to worry about him being academically ineligible. But he's one of those guys that I really was rooting for and like to hear the updates on him. Cam Harris at running back, being able to take over the reins, being the other guy for 2 years behind DJ Dallas. Now being someone who consistently was the workaholic and someone who he looks like a football player. 5'9", 210 pounds of pure muscle. The dude's traps. He's talking on the camera and you're just like, he got to turn his whole body to turn, man, because he just was so big. And to hear that he just gave so much effort in the weight room and so much effort in mat drills and hard work. And those are things that when coaches continuously mention that, then maybe it wasn't always there as far as the effort, the hard work, and the tenacious wanting to get after things. And if you hear about it, it probably wasn't always there. Now that it is there, that's why they keep bringing it up. Like, wow, this guy's working hard. A lot of people may say, well, that's what he should be doing. It wasn't always like that. Some people felt entitled to wear that U. Some people felt like they were giving us a nudge and doing us a favor by putting pen to paper and coming to Miami because we weren't much at that time. So we're kind of filtering those guys. They are out of the program now. We'll not name any names, but there's some people who are no longer here who have that stigma attached to them. Someone on the defensive side of the ball, of course, you got your Gregory Rousseau. But for me, was Jalen Phillips and Nasty Nesta. To see them full body change around. Jalen Phillips back up to 264 pounds, from 225 last January. So it took time to where he gradually put the weight on. Not just, oh, yeah, we just threw 40 pounds on him and now he looks great. No, it's been a gradual buildup. And when you see pictures of him, you say, you know what? They put him together nice over time. They didn't just throw bad weight on him. And you see him standing next to Gregory Rousseau, and you're like, wow, 266 DNs, 266, 260 plus DNs at Miami. When was the last time you've been able to say that? And to see Nasty Nesta Silvera be listed under 295 pounds for the first time in his career here at Miami, moving from one technique over to the three technique defensive tackle, and seeing him flash at a lot of the highlight tapes, making some TFLs. That's what we want to see. And I was super excited to see them continue to take more steps on what I saw. But unfortunately, it's been canceled. So we're going to keep working. I know that they will because they want to put the U back on the map.
Anytime we post Miami content, we'll get anywhere from 1,500 to 5,000 views. And then sometimes I'll see 4,000 views on a video or a live stream, and I'll see like 80 likes. And I'm thinking, really? We had like 3,000 or 4,000 people watch this video, and I'm guessing just about everybody got something out of it, thought it was good. They came back for more. Just take what's it take? 2 seconds to hit the like button. The YouTube analytics and the algorithms enjoy the like button and will help our videos post in the traffic. If you will help us out by hitting the like button, as 904 Hurricane reminds everyone right there. Our guy, Nate. Nate, we appreciate you. This has been addressed previously.
He's consistent, man.
Cam and I went on and on about this. And Nate, you asked this before. I don't know why this year fixated on the Nebraska rivalry, whether it's a rivalry or not. But Cam and I, unless the wholesome one has something to, certainly I'll cut you loose on this one if you'd like. But Cam and I talked about this for like 10 or 15 minutes. We went through the history. We went through it top to bottom. So check out the videos. That was a live stream we did a few weeks ago, and I actually posted that as a separate video on our Miami channel. So you can check out us going on and on about the Nebraska rivalry, whether it is one. Obviously, there's historic connection there based on important championship games, but in terms of it being a current rivalry, that would be questionable.
I would love to renew it. I mean, I always love to do the custom schedules because I'm a big NCAA 14 football player. Yes, I just love playing the game because even though it's a 6-7-year-old game, the renewability of it, because you always got the recruiting class and keeping your roster together and people happy and not letting them transfer. But the biggest thing is I always love to schedule 2 teams for Miami, USC and Nebraska. And I would always do home and homes because you know, going into Lincoln Stadium, it is a historic, great football stadium. I mean, how many years did they go on that run of sold out games? Not just night games, high noon, 3:30, 5 p.m., 8 p.m. It didn't matter, man. Nebraska, I mean, they have nothing else to do there. But anyway, they always were sold out, and they always had solid teams, and there's a respect there. It's not like the dislike of Notre Dame or the interception-happy rivalry of Penn State. The Nebraska thing is kind of like, okay, yeah, I wouldn't mind lining up and playing them again. And like I say, for me personally, my old roommate was a Nebraska Cornhusker fan. My first year of college was fall of 2014. Second year was 2015. For my undergrad. And that was when Miami and Nebraska had a home and went 1-1 in that rivalry. So he had lots of bragging rights that first year, 2014. 2015, Miami jumped out to like a 30-7 lead. So I was talking big smack. Nebraska came all the way back and took it to overtime. And if it wasn't for an Armstrong Dodo interception, we probably would have lost that game too. Hal Golden just find ways to lose games here in Miami. But anyway, it was personal for me because it was a rivalry amongst the person I live with, and he was a huge, avid Nebraska. He's like, man, the N is better than the U. It's like no one calls Nebraska the N. What is that? That was his thing, man. It was like I said, it was a little rivalry for me and him. Shout out to Jiller. But at the same time, man, I think it would be good. I mean, both programs are trying to build up. I think Scott Frost is a better coach at this point than Manny Diaz, or maybe similar, because as far as win-loss record, they're not too far away from each other. Scott Frost has that fake national championship at UCF for beating the 8-4 Auburn team, but that's neither here nor there. But at the same time, I think it would be something that why not renew a rivalry with Nebraska? It's a quality team, a team that carries a nice cachet. You go in there and beat them in their stadium, or they come to Hard Rock Stadium and we beat them. It's a little nod like, hey, that was a good game. Good fight. I mean, I think both teams are similar at this point. But like I said, for me, it was a lot more personal back in the day of 2014, 2015 with my college roommate. But I wouldn't mind renewing that.
So I was curious about the Nebraska sellout streak. So this is where it stands right now. So there's a difference between selling out games and people actually showing up to sit in the seats, at least when it comes to Nebraska. If you go to other places across the country that are just rabid and playing extremely well, and we know where those places are, they're full every week. But with Nebraska, they are still on a sellout streak of 375 consecutive games dating back to 1962. So that streak is still alive. But in this article right here, it's spelled out in a very very understandable way that is differentiating how many people are showing up to the game. So it's about 80% full. So that doesn't mean it's a full house every time, but all those seats are sold.
Right.
The 89,000 are sold every game. So they have sold out every game going back to 1962, 375 straight games. But I'm seeing 12,000, 10,000, 15,000 empty seats at the games in regards to the difference between the sales and the actual people showing up.
Gotcha. Yeah, so for all you Nebraska fans that come at us on Twitter as Miami Hurricanes fans about we don't sell out our own stadium, yeah, 20% of you guys don't even show up. You're still cropping, so it's okay.
There it is. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Please do this. If you enjoy the content and the conversation right here, you go to the Wholesome Ones channel. There it is. If you love Miami, if you love college football, smart college football talk and analysis, you got to subscribe over there. Subscribe here for no other reason than you get the notification. So if you wouldn't have known any other way to know that we were going to have our conversation on Miami football today at 1 o'clock Eastern time, you would have to be subscribed, because there is no way, for as much as I would love to say every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, we're going to be here. We just can't make it happen. We've got too many schedules running in too many directions to schedule it every time. We've got somebody, 904 Hurricane, Mark Rogers, before the end of the show, can you give me your opinion on what do you think the Miami Dolphins will do in the draft? I don't know what they'll do. I think Joe Burrow is a bit of a safer selection, but I think Tua's got a higher ceiling. How about that for a quick answer? That's from me.
Agreed.
Tua's had his, he hasn't been able to stay healthy. He's got some serious injury past, like serious injuries.
Hip is something, 20 years ago, a hip injury in your career. So we'll leave it at that.
So everybody, we appreciate it. Like the videos. And again, check out the Wholesome One on his channel and please subscribe there and here for the best in college football coverage. Wholesome One, we appreciate you stopping by. Be well, be safe, and we'll make it through this.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hey, man, thank you all so much for coming through for the live squad. But if you weren't able to catch the live, you all know what you already are, and that's hashtag rewatch squad, man. Thank you all so much. We appreciate every single view. We appreciate every single like, more than we could ever put into words. Thank you, Mark, for giving me the platform. God bless. Y'all have a great rest of your day.
I'm going to give a quick shout out to Martin, who left a couple comments, and this is the first time I've seen him on the line with us. Martin, thank you so much, who had commented earlier, and it makes a whole lot of sense that 8th rated recruiting class in 2018 are now juniors and should pay dividends, because that's typically when the average, looking at the masses, college football players come of age as juniors. So good comment by Martin. We appreciate you jumping on board to talk Miami football. Cheryl and the rest of the crew, Nate, we thank you so much. 904 Hurricane, thank you for encouraging everyone to hit the like button. Subscribe here at Mark Rogers TV as well. We'll see you next time. Look for those notifications. We're going to do call-in shows starting next week, 10 p.m. Eastern time every Sunday night at 10 o'clock Eastern time, every Friday at noon Eastern time as well. We'll see you soon.